The 2019 Global Series was the biggest, boldest, and best season yet in competitive FIFA. After an electrifying year of competition all across the globe, the best of the best went head-to-head to compete for the ultimate prize, the EWorld Cup in London.
Just like that, blink and you'll miss it. He's done it again. Absolutely perfection.
And a fantastic finish once again. To Cristiano Ronaldo inside to Pele, it's an open goal. It's in!
And today we're going to take a look back at the entire 2019 season. The winners, the losers, the best moments, and all of the drama from an unforgettable campaign. The FIFA 19 Global Series Recap Show starts right now. Welcome, everyone, to the last show of the FIFA 19 season. I'm Jimmy Conrad, alongside Dan Gaskin and LaBelle, and we're here at the beautiful studios at EA's headquarters in Northern California. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm a little sad. I'm sad that this season has come to an end because of the drama, the highs and lows, the introduction of new tournaments like the E-Champions League and the Global Series points. And I kind of need a hug, but we're kind of far away.
Later. I'll hug you later.
Okay, great.
I mean, I'm quite emotional as well. It was my first season working within FIFA, and it's been amazing, to be honest. Everyone's been so welcoming. The new tournaments that we've seen, the amount of players, the amount of storylines that's come out of it as well. Like, personally, I'm just excited for FIFA 20. Yes, it's sad FIFA 19's ending, but there's so much to come, and that's what's going to be amazing.
So we're going to share tears, hugs. What are we doing off camera after this? We can wrap it up. It's fine with me. But, yeah, this is our first year of the FIFA ecosystem, where you had like the Global Series points and you had all these new players really come in and make a story. People signing to clubs, organizations, so many different events, whether it's a league event, whether it's the E-Champions League, or it's one of the majors, and kind of building into the complete year for the FIFA EWorld Cup.
Well, before we take a deep dive into the season that was and hand out our end of the season awards, we're going to take a look back at the most significant tournament of the season, the EWorld Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the FIFA EWorld Cup Grand Final is MoAuba!
3 times here, 3 times I lost in this round.
I think it was R9 that went down, play shot into Nicolas! And the breathing space. Another goal, why not? Get him in the console final. MoAuba, job done.
Nicolas up next. The stats are with him in terms of previous meetings, but anything can happen in FIFA.
MoAuba! Scores! He will be in the cross-console final. Space for Danny Costa. Gets that ball into the box. Into Kai Havertz. Happy to Coqueta his way through. It's going to be on the rebound for Vieira. What a start from the German. Mo is on fire right now. Earlier than the grand final. MoAuba is looking electric right now. 15 years. Germany has waited.
You are now the world champion.
I only hope I don't wake up now.
So we're going to talk about 4 special seasons for 4 special players. And we're going to start with MoAuba, the reigning EWorld Cup champion. He did the business. Now, does he have a target on his back moving forward because of this performance?
I mean, it puts him in contention now of being a back-to-back World Cup winner. Again, we were talking about MsDossary being that potential back-to-back World Cup winner, and it would be the first time ever to happen. MoAuba has that chance. So I guess, yes, in theory, people are going to be saying, well, he's won a World Cup. Can he win another one? I mean, he's got the potential to. What he showed at the EWorld Cup was incredible, really. No one predicted him getting that far. And I think everyone was just so happy because he's just such a nice guy.
And he's got new pressure, which goes with new expectations. Before, we expect MoAuba to be in the running to do well in a tournament, but heading into FIFA 20, we now expect him to be winning tournaments, be in the finals. He's a favorite. He's no longer somebody knocking on the door.
So a question that I had for you guys is that after F2 Techs had a lot of success, okay, people were trying to copy his style. Now MoAuba has won, but his style is a little bit more unpredictable. Do you think some people will be trying to mimic it in some ways?
I don't think you can mimic that style. That's what's so incredible, and that's what got him the victory against MsDossary, in my opinion. MsDossary is very good at playing against people who have structure, who are very methodical about their play, but MoAuba is unpredictable, he is exciting, he will shoot from anywhere. it's not going to be easy to try and mimic that whatsoever. Good luck on anyone who wants to try and play like MoAuba. I'm excited to see them try, but I don't think it's going to happen. He's just very unique in the way he plays FIFA.
Is there anything, though, specific, Mike, that stands out with his play style that you think people should try to mimic in some ways?
If you're an attacking player, and that's something that you're naturally gifted with, the way that MoAuba creates attacks, very unorthodox. He likes to switch the pitch. He likes to attack quickly. He'll whip in more crosses from unique angles, maybe unusual angles. And he puts you under a lot of pressure on the offensive end. And that's what Dan was saying, where when you're going up against the MsDossary and F2 Techs, as consistent as they've been, they're looking for more of a structured gameplay style, or a Nicolas, where MoAuba shakes it all the way up, and it's been maybe one of his biggest gifts this year, but also one of his biggest detriments, because if he has an off game, doesn't work for him, then he concedes multiple goals, and he's maybe not able to put as many behind his opponent or score against his opposition in order to kind of even everything out. But it's hard to learn. It's going to be hard to teach. It reminds me of Huge Gorilla. If you want to date back, everybody wanted to play like Huge Gorilla, but he's so attack heavy, and he's taking all these risks on the pitch. He's almost challenging you to outthink him, and it's just not easy to teach.
All right. I'm taking notes of what you're saying right now, so I appreciate your insight. Now let's move on to another player who was the EWorld Cup finalist with MsDossary. Now, he absolutely dominated in the World Cup. He didn't lose any games to get into the final, and he barely lost there, just by 1 goal. A terrific season for him, but in some ways you have to feel like he didn't live up to his own potential, his own hype.
It was a big ask for him to become a back-to-back world champion. He would have put himself in the history books, and you can see there's the statistics from the group stages. He was unbeaten in the group stages, and we were really thinking, okay, yeah, Dassary's the real deal here. He can do this, he can make history. But I don't think he nor anyone else really expected MoAuba to do what MoAuba did in that grand final, especially MoAuba doing what he did on the Xbox as well. PlayStation, sure, we knew MoAuba would play well, but Dassary struggling on the Xbox really surprised me.
So I'm going to say that I love this guy, first and foremost. I think he's a fantastic player, awesome person, fun to talk to. But there is something about his style where sometimes he shows up and sometimes he doesn't look all that interested. Is that the kind of MsDossary we're going to see moving forward? Is this a ceiling in some ways?
I would be terrified to be in opposition up against MsDossary, because talent-wise, he's top tier. For many, the best in the world. But I agree with you. Sometimes we don't see that motivation depending on the event. And that's something that's internal. When you're playing FIFA, you're competing. It's always a mental game. And I've talked to MsDossary on multiple occasions, and I can tell in the tournaments that he's more motivated for, and other ones that he's not necessarily as motivated, and the results also match up. Which sounds wild. How are you not motivated to play in a tournament? But when you're MsDossary, you just want to win the big one at the end. I actually think his stock is on the up and up. The way that he dominated on the Xbox at the FIFA EWorld Cup, I don't think there's a stock drop whatsoever. But I know that he's going to be motivated heading into FIFA 20.
I think he's motivated every single year because he's won an event FIFA 17, FIFA 18, FIFA 19, and I'm sure he's going to win a few in FIFA 20. So I'm excited about his future. Now let's talk about who he gets compared to in the greatest of all time conversation, F2 Techs, who didn't show up at the EWorld Cup. And it's a bit of a disappointment because he was arguably the best player all season. He had more points than I think everybody combined. And he's a special guy, obviously, with a lot of special skill. And I love his focus and determination, but he didn't show up in the biggest tournament of the year.
It really is a shame. It hurts me personally as a fellow Englishman as well. You're always going to support those from your country, but everyone's going to have an off tournament in their season. It's just unfortunate for Tex that it happened at the World Cup. It was his first World Cup. It does come with the extra pressure. He had a lot on his shoulders because people had that expectation of, you are the best FIFA 19 player, so you have to turn up at this tournament. You had that rivalry with Dassary as well, and unfortunately, he was only 1 point short of getting out of the groups. If he had got out of the groups, I think that would have been the pressure gone. He would have played like the Tex we've seen all season, but he looked scared. If I'm completely honest, he didn't look like the Tex that we'd seen. He was very defensive-minded. He wasn't the attacking player we've seen. So I don't know. I think going into FIFA 20, he would have learned a lesson at the World Cup, and that's the biggest thing.
Okay, so do you think he can build off of that? Because his overall, prior to the World Cup, I mean, the most dominant player for sure this season.
Yeah, it's the most impressive season we've ever seen from a FIFA competitor, even though, unfortunately, kind of ends with some shade, ends in a negative light. But that might be good for F2 Techs, because it just reminds you that you need to keep building on your gameplay and working on different ways to handle situations. I feel like we saw a couple mistakes from F2 Techs versus TAS, where he missed some penalty kicks, very unusual. And the same could be said versus Danny, where he had a lead and he gave that lead up. And these comebacks ended up costing him, or these lack of ability to close out games, ended up costing him progression because he ended up going out, missing out by 1 point in the group stage. I mean, the margins are very fine. We're dealing with the top 16 players in the world. Like, I don't want to be so harsh on F2 Tex. What he's been able to accomplish.
He's been a men amongst boys against some of those players for most of the year.
It's an anomaly of a season, though, from F2 Tex. Let's build him up. I'm not
trying to break him down. I'm just trying to say that for him to climb that mountain, for him to really be in the history books, he has to win a World Cup.
He does, and I think we all said that. He knows that as well, and you look at the players like Bruce Granick, like Alfonso Ramos, who are the greatest of all time, and DullenMIKE and Tex can be there, and they will be there. They're still so young, they've got the time, and I mean, you look at real football, Messi's never won a World Cup, but he's still considered one of the best players of all time. Tex has that from this season. He was the best FIFA 19 player this season, in my personal opinion, but he just had that bad tournament when it came down to it because of pressure, because he put a little bit too much on himself. And it wasn't just him. There were other players who had their first tournaments. DullenMIKE, Joxan, they put too much pressure on themselves. They didn't perform, but they'll come back next year. They're still young, and I'm excited what they have to do in FIFA 20.
And just to reiterate, Tex is brand new. Last year was him touching the scene, won in Barcelona. This year, monster, an absolute monster, just came out of nowhere, winning tournament on tournament on tournament. So he's got 2 years in. This is his third year. Let's see how he does in terms of building consistency, longevity.
Yeah, we could argue he's not at his peak. He's not even at his peak yet.
We don't know.
We don't know
what's next.
All right, let's talk about another player who has a ton of talent as well, but didn't climb the mountain at the EWorld Cup. It's Nicolas, Mr. Argentina himself. He dominated in Berlin in the playoffs, didn't lose a game, was fantastic. So just lost to MoAuba in the semifinals on penalties. He was so close to getting there and getting to MsDossary in the final. But now he has to go home and feeling a bit disappointed, Dan.
It's an interesting one. I think if he had looked at that performance from the outside before he started, he might have been disappointed. But because he started the tournament with 3 losses and he came back, he showed such character to get back into that event. When we looked at the other big players who started really slow, they failed, they flopped a little bit. But Nicolas, he showed what he was made of, he showed he was the Iceman, he came back into things, he performed incredibly, and he only went out on penalties. It's been a phenomenal season for him. I still think he is the best PS4 player of the season. I think even MoAuba will look at that and can agree. But again, it can just come down to such tiny, tiny margins, and Nicolas is going to be another player that will progress into FIFA 20, and we will, I'm sure, be sat here again throughout FIFA 20 saying how amazing he is.
Nicolas should be proud how he handled having to fight this adversity, and it's good for his legacy. When I think back on the FIFA EWorld Cup and Nicolas, I remember his struggle and how he was able to climb out of that hole and maybe able to make that comeback versus MoAuba. And that's great for your legacy building. That's an esports story. That might be the greatest match that we've seen this year, actually. The MoAuba Nicolas comeback, penalty kicks, emotion. It had everything you want. People were tuned in for a reason.
Well, this concludes our recap of 4 fantastic players and their 4 fantastic seasons. But as a special treat, we're going to talk to one of those players right now. That's right. We are honored to be joined by the reigning EWorld Cup champion, MoAuba. Mo must be living large right now. So my first question to you, Mo, and thank you for your time. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, you're definitely doing fine. I see all those trophies behind you. Living the dream. So what has changed for you after winning the World Cup?
Yeah, it means I think the interest of me changed. Yeah, many emails and many media want to talk with me, but yeah, my life, nothing changed, man. I'm chilling at home, go to football, and yeah, it's like the same, but yeah, with more fun and more happiness now.
Always good to hear you humble and see you smiling as always, Mo. You were the first German winner of a World Cup ever, of course, and you represented Werder Bremen as well. Does club and country ever come into the grand scheme of things when you're playing? Do you think, oh, I could be the first German winner, or are you just purely focused on, I want to get the victory, I want to win for me?
Yeah, I think when I play the E-Nations Cup, I think about Germany, but like in the tournament, like the FIFA EWorld Cup, you're so motivated. You don't think about like the money, the many details, what else. And yeah, in the end, I won, and I didn't know what I won, so I thought, yeah, 250K, but I won also a car and like the trip to the best show. And yeah, but when you play, you're so exciting, you don't know. What about you playing?
And I saw that you tweeted out saying that 4 out of 5 World Cup winners they have Arabic backgrounds as well. I mean, do you think there's a reason for that? Is there something in the water over there that you guys are drinking differently to us?
I don't know, man, because we are really bad in football at all. So maybe we are better in the console. Yeah, 4 of the 5 last winners will have like Arabic parents or background. So maybe it means something, but it's not because we are great in football or something. Yeah.
And Mo, I was just thinking, who's impacted your success the most this year, or maybe just in your competitive career, whether that's friends, family, management, people you're training with? Who's really helped you, I guess, get to this point where you become a world champion and have this consistency over the last few years?
I think I have many input. Like the most are my girlfriend. She's always with me since 3 years, since my first tournament. So yeah, I think she's as happy like me, and yeah, she's not one girl. She make me nervous or something. She's also chill before games, and I think it's really important to yeah, make some fun, be happy before the game, also in the game, and yeah, that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I can attest to that because I felt like my career changed a little bit when I was doing as a professional when I married my wife, and I felt more settled and felt a lot more confident. I didn't have to worry about that off the field stuff. I could just focus on the task at hand. Now, Mo, this question is about superstitions. Is there anything that you do, maybe during this season in particular, that you're going to try to carry over to FIFA 20?
Yeah, I think I will make the same, yeah, same kind of grind in the start of the game. So I was in talk with my friends yesterday. I say, yeah, maybe I have to change my name because I want to play for draft or weekend leagues. They are more exciting to play against me, and they are more sweaty, my opponents. And yeah, we wasn't talking. We say we play the same kind of thing like the last year. So I play a lot of draft in the first months, and then I start to play against other pros. And yeah, I want to make the same things like last year, and maybe yeah, it brings success.
And you're a world champion. We want a world champion's opinion. We've had this debate all year long. Who's better for you, F2 Tex or MsDossary?
I think Tex is a better FIFA 19 player, but Dossary is a better FIFA player at all. I think I always say when Dossary are hungry and like motivated, yeah, the maximum of motivating, he's by far the best player. But it's like Messi and Ronaldo, so you can't, yeah, took one, and yeah, you have always like someone who say no, you're wrong. But yeah, Tex was amazing the first months, and Dossary, like in the World Cup, yeah, he shows what he can do, so it's not easy.
And they obviously had their own rivalry. You kind of had a rivalry of your own with Nicolas. You tweeted out saying, oh, when will I ever beat Nicolas? And you used the aging app to show you getting old as well. You finally beat him at the World Cup. Was that a kind of a milestone for you? Was that something a little bit different, being able to actually finally overturn Nicolas?
Yeah, of course. It's like not only I won against Nicolas, it's like the way I won against him. It was like the craziest match ever. Because when I was leading 5-2 and he did a comeback, so I thought, yeah, it's a normal game against Nicolas, so I can play my best and I always lose. But in the end, it was a bit lucky with the penalty shootout. And yeah, I'm really happy. So the stats are like 10-0-2 for him, and I won 2 games in 2 World Cups in the most important tournaments, and that's a funny fact, I think.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Mo. Enjoy your much-deserved rest and relaxation, and we'll see you for FIFA 20.
Thank you. Goodbye. Have fun.
All right, MoAuba, everyone. But when we come back right after this break, we're going to do our end of the season awards. Don't go anywhere.
Should've been caught up. Even Granny got hit with no antenna. And the cool kids peeped on the internet. Ain't no fighting the hype when it's evident. I need peace for your eyes. Ain't you mystified? At a minimum, fresher than your Listerine.
Oh, you missed it, huh?
How you missed the vine?
Oh, you missed the mastermind.
Amazing.
The one.
Yeah, you looking at the best. There you go, looking at.
Number one.
Yeah, you looking at yo, no cap with that. Cause when the B's to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the DST. You got me. I got the hands on me or the intellect, and when I be on scene, all the eyes connect. So come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know the feast on me, man. I've been the best. I got the hands on me or the intellect, and when I be on scene, all the eyes connect. So come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know the feast on me, man. I've been the best. Amazing. The one. Yeah, you looking at the best. There you go, you're looking at number one. Gotta tell him. Yeah, you looking at no cap. Cause when the B's to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the DST. You got me. Got the hands on me, all the intellect, and when I be on scene, all the eyes connect. So come get some. So just peanut butter, you know the feast on me, man. I got the moves.
Welcome back, everyone, to what is going to be my favorite part of the show, the season awards. And I'm really excited about it. I got dressed up for it, and you guys didn't. So you didn't get the memo? What's happening here?
I don't have a suit from 1964, so I'm not
It's
sure
75, but okay.
Also, I went to the store in the kids section. They said they couldn't. I'm going to make that joke before he does. I know he was thinking it.
That's out of our age range, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think you got that from a costume store. Like, you guys can't see the quality here, but it's not top of the line.
Fine. Listen, this is a clip-on, my bow tie. I'll own up to it. But it still fits the moment. The season awards. I'm very, very excited about it. And we actually asked you guys on Twitter who you wanted to be the player of the year. We gave you 4 options. We talked about all 4 of these players already. Take a look at it here. Nicolas, F2 Text, MsDossary, and MoAuba. Now, the poll is closed at this point, but we will reveal the results at the end of the awards. Because first, we're going to start with best moments. The best moment of FIFA 19, and I'm going to go first. And for me, it's a sentimental choice because I was really proud of where the FIFA scene has come. And for us, and for the winner, NYC Chris, to be on the Champions League field before Liverpool and Tottenham played in the final, I thought was a very big deal. And I think it just showed the respect that esports and FIFA are getting around the world, and with the casual fan and from the people that are making the decisions. So I think having the first E-Champions League was very monumental, but also having the winner go out there and just kind of merge the two things I thought was a very big deal. You guys can put your tissues away now. It was really cool for me.
I mean, it was an experience that money can't buy, for sure. Other experiences that money can't buy, and my moment of the year, I'm going to go for the E-Nations, Tuga and Portugal,
nice
Rastarata, last-minute goal. The eruption of emotion that we saw from these players was absolutely incredible. This is what we want in FIFA esports. This is why the 2v2 element that was added in the E-Nations and the E-Club. Look, the chairs going everywhere. Everyone was getting involved. The studio went nuts.
Look at Richard Buckley's got his hands on his head.
It was just so good, and I hope that we see more moments like this, and that's why that's going to be one of my moments of the year.
Yeah, I like that.
That's kind of when you win and you still break a controller, or something has to get broken, because he's just, if you get in front of him, it's a risky move to get in that emotion. And my moment of the year is recent. We saw it in the FIFA EWorld Cup, where we had Nicolas facing off against MoAuba. And this is when I really felt that MoAuba believed he could win the event, that he actually go the whole way. And then we also saw Nicolas battle back. And I think for a lot of people, this is in the running for the best game of FIFA in FIFA 19, what it meant for both players. And I wrote off Nicolas multiple times in this game. I was thinking, all right, he's down 3 goals. There's no way that he's going to battle back. It took the final corner kick in the 92nd minute. He converts, and he has no reaction. Classic Iceman. And of course, MoAuba went on to win in penalty kicks, and it was a wild penalty kick display as well, where we saw people blocking everything that was happening. It was back and forth. Oh, the emotion in the room. I was lucky enough to be there, and it's something that we hadn't necessarily seen too often in FIFA esports, where you have hundreds of people tuned in, dialed, in person, everybody sweating. Saw a lot of shaking, nerves, everything all in one matchup.
So I appreciate and respect both of your choices for moments of the year. But there's a better one, everyone, and it's from Atlanta for FUT Champions Cup. Yes. It's Mike LaBelle tripping and falling. Let's take a look at it right now. Unbelievable scenes here. Wait, Mike, watch out for that step, Mike.
I can't get away
your
from
hair's
this.
all out of the place. Look, I think just seeing your hair get out of place is probably more devastating to you than actually tripping.
The worst part of that is that you can't see it in that example, but it's right before the finals where Tuga's playing Tex, so everybody's packed in, and then you see me fall just before they get started. And
Tex didn't even know how to help you there.
No, because the first reaction is he okay? It was one of those falls that was so bad that they don't know if he might actually be hurt.
That's like the stage as well. You could have broken a shin or something like that. Was a dangerous fall, but I will still watch that day in, day out because it's hilarious.
Yes.
I want that as like my phone background.
I do. I kind of want that too.
Someone clip that. We'll use this as a meme somewhere. It should be something that you're seeing on a live stream.
Already. All right, now let's talk about our best team of the year. And Dan, you're going to go first.
I get to go first?
Yes.
I get the easy one. Perfect. I'm going to go for Rogue. How else could I not go for Rogue? They had
we see how you're rolling.
3 competitors in the same group. All 3 of those competitors got out of that group, and they all got through to what, the quarterfinals or the semi-finals on the Xbox. DullenMIKE got to a grand final as well. It was just phenomenal. I think Rogue were the real winners of FIFA 19. The fact that they've chosen these 3 players and they performed so well, of course, the 3 being Goal Machine, DullenMIKE, and Nicolas Razek. They did amazing in FIFA 19. If they can do anything like they did in FIFA 19 and FIFA 20, then Rogue are going to be very happy bunnies.
It's difficult to argue against Rogue as a choice, but just to play devil's advocate here and throw in some different names, Werder Bremen should come up. They had a wonderful season. They won the virtual Bundesliga. Both MoAuba and Megabit represented Germany Free Nations, and with the amount of German competitors that are at that top tier, you could really choose a variety. Obviously, MoAuba won the FIFA EWorld Cup, and we've seen a lot of consistency over the last 2 or 3 years. So you could even say over the last few years, Werder Bremen has maybe a better mix-up, a better combination of players going forward. We'll see. So it's going to build well for next year. There's no doubt about it.
I respect that choice, but yes, I agree that Rogue is the team that was by far the best throughout this season. But like you, Mike, I want to give a shout out to a team, FC Basel. And that includes Nicolas and the Stranger. Both of these players qualified for the EWorld Cup, so they were 2 of the top 16 players in the world. Nicolas obviously had a more successful season than the Stranger, but you can't count out the Stranger, and I think he's going to come back and have a very strong FIFA 20. But Nicolas, just time and time again, proves why he's one of the best in the world, and I can't say enough about his performance in Berlin, where he absolutely decimated everybody in his path, including a very hot Lev Vinken at that point. So, yeah. Pretty excited about that. But again, Rogue is, for me, the team of the year, and I don't think anybody can argue otherwise.
I'm just glad I went first.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, when you have 3 players that get to the FIFA EWorld Cup, they're all in the same group, and they still all advance from that group, it makes it difficult to argue against Rogue. But, like I said, for argument's sake, but there's other teams that should definitely be on the radar that have had wonderful seasons.
All right, well, speaking of quality and talented players, let's talk about the best footballer. Because a lot of these guys, I have pickup games anytime that I travel, and you guys have been to plenty of them now. A lot of the players like to come out and play as well. Who wants to go first with this one?
I can start this out.
Why don't you go?
I got a couple
Who do you
names.
think is the best footballer?
Wow, you're just best. Yes, there's a lot of guys that can play, and there's a lot of guys that think they can play. Okay, we'll start off there. I got to give some love. I'm going to stay in North America for a second. Dulsta, still looking at a premium. His movement. I mean, I know that he got offers to play Division I soccer in the U.S., which is a pretty big accomplishment. I'd also put Lev Vinken in there. You do not want to see this guy in the midfield. He's very big.
Or anywhere on the field.
He's more nimble than you would expect to for a big man. You see him there. You don't want that. You don't want to see any of that. If you see someone coming out in a collared shirt, you can't trust that guy. He's going to be a killer.
Yeah, and he wants to run you over too. He likes to run you over.
I don't want to battle him. Like, there's a lot of guys that I would 50-50 with. I'll stay away from Lev Vinken.
All right, Dan. You've been out there a few times.
I have. I'm going to go for Hasu, the German. He actually used to play, I'm fairly certain he used to play a pretty semi-professional football in Germany. Then he had an injury, and that's where he turned to FIFA. Seeing him at the pickup games, I was so impressed with his on-the-ball movement, his just general. You can tell he reads football well. He knows the game well by the way that he plays passes and stuff. So I'm going to give him a shout-out. And also, Richard Buckley, I'm going to give a shout-out as well.
Come on.
As a centre-back.
Buckley, I love it.
He leaps like a salmon, and he's not afraid to get stuck into a challenge. So I think he's someone I have to shout out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with Dubsy. For me, he is the most energetic. Anytime I'm about to travel somewhere, I'll get a message from him a week before the tournament going, hey, we doing a pickup game? We doing a pickup game? Can I help? Can I set it up? And I love his enthusiasm for it, and he's a terrific player.
Yeah.
He's really tidy on the ball, amongst a lot of the guys out there, really tidy on the ball. So I'm going to give Dubsy a shout-out. I think he's a fantastic player, and I love being on his team because usually I win when he's on my team. And I love winning. I have a daily win quota, and he helps me reach that, so I appreciate it. Now let's get to best hair. And I'm going to go first, okay? And it's not you, Mike LaBelle.
Oh.
Okay, so you can...
I have my hand up right now.
You can't see on
screen.
No, it's not you.
But...
I am going to go with Goal Machine because he has hair that I admire and kind of want. I mean, he's got it all working for him. I don't have that. The quality, the flow, the rhythm of his hair, it's almost Mike LaBelle-esque, I will say, in some ways. But for best hair, Goal Machine is my guy. He'll give me a high five later, I'm sure. And I'll have a lot of respect for the time and effort he puts into it.
It's the Jersey Turnpike blowout. That's what I call Goal Machine's hair. I like it. It's good. It's good to go.
You also had that little soul patch as well.
He did.
I appreciate that. As a man who can't grow facial hair, I always appreciate a little soul patch.
You got a little pirate thing going on right here.
For best hair, I'll go for Onset. Because Onset has the best hair, I'd say. Oh, I feel bad. Oh, they even got a picture. I'm sorry, Mark. I don't mean it. Onset is a beautiful man, and he's way bigger than me, so I definitely shouldn't have said this, and I'm going to regret it. I'll go for Marcuso, actually. As someone who genuinely has hair, he has some gorgeous locks. He looks a little bit like... do you remember that guy from Lost, Sawyer? It's that kind of like long, natural look.
Wait, so here's my question about Marcuso's look. Do you think he's trying very hard to make it look like he's not trying very hard?
Yes. Just knowing Marcuso, I think he has one of those. I want it to look effortless, but there was a lot of effort that went into this preparation.
All right. Now, Mike LaBelle as the hair aficionado and with a nice set of locks here. Who's your pick?
I think hands down, J.R.A. Lyon has the best hair in the game. He might also, I know we have a picture here, he might also have the best physique.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This isn't safe for work.
He put this out on his Twitter. I had nothing to do with this.
On this guy.
I mean, he's definitely in the gym. If he wants to be our first FIFA model, I would support that. I'd get behind him. But yeah, he's got, you talk about flow and volume, he's got that going on.
Hopefully he'll wear pants the next time he goes to the gym, you know?
There's a lot of people, you know, FIFA's recently gone out on mainstream television. There's a lot of people that have been replying saying, like, who are all these nerds playing FIFA?
That's true.
I'm going to send them that picture and be like, look at this nerd.
Tweet this guy, tweet him.
All right, now let's talk about the best underdog. Let's get back to the gameplay itself and performances over the year. And I'm going to start first. I'm going with Ajax Tor because he really came out of nowhere. Very similar to a few players, most notably DullenMIKE, and just came on strong, got Ajax to sponsor him midway through the season. And even though he didn't perform as well as I'm sure as he would like at the EWorld Cup, he got knocked out in the group stages. I think he's one for the future, and he's going to be one of the big names that we're talking about from South America for many years to come.
And for me, I'm looking at the main man, Rafsu. I've talked about him all year.
Okay.
He just doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. He's actually wonderful at football as well. If you get a chance to go out there, left-footed.
So he's one of your best footballers.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the best footballers. He doesn't come out that often, but if you see, you know, Rafsu, if you see Rafsu coming out on a pitch, you should pick him up. I mean, he's also 6'3", 6'4", big dude. I think that he's on the brink, and he had a great tournament at the FIFA EWorld Cup, made a deep run, lost to MsDossary in the finals for the Xbox. But I think he's somebody that you should be watching out for next year as well. He was good in 18. A lot of people still didn't talk about him because we have the likes of Dax. We have all that history with Bruce Granning. There's certain French players that maybe overshadow him. This year it happened with Maestro. But next year will be the year of the Rafsu.
Okay, so I feel like you did enough to maybe not even be an underdog. Perhaps.
People didn't put him into the conversation this year. Now, after he loses in the finals versus MsDossary in the FIFA EWorld Cup, then everybody says, okay, yeah, I can see that. Rafsu's the guy. But they weren't saying that beforehand. So maybe he's going to have a little more expectation. Maybe players will put even more respect on Rafsu. They don't want to meet him in a tournament fixture.
No, I feel like I'm going to be... It's a bit deja vu here because I remember him predicting Rafsu and then I followed up with DullenMIKE, but I'm going to follow up with DullenMIKE as the underdog. I mean, how can we not talk about DullenMIKE as an underdog? The youngest ever FUT Champions Cup winner. An incredible season, really, considering his age. He was 16 years old when he won. I mean, it is very difficult to go to these live tournaments and perform that well under that pressure when you are so young. Yes, okay, the EWorld Cup, he didn't have the performance that he would have liked, but it was a massive learning curve for him, and I'm sure next season he'll do great, and that's why he's my underdog pick.
And speaking of DullenMIKE, we have the man right now. DullenMIKE, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what I want to ask is, you went from basically nowhere to winning a FUT Champions Cup. So do you have any advice to anybody that's going to enter into FIFA 20 about how to make that happen?
I think what I did in the start of FIFA 19 was like play Division Rivals a lot, because that's like where you get the best training, best practice against other pros, because like all of the pros are playing it at the start to kind of get a feel for the game. And also, if you're lucky enough and like a bit known in the scene because of your good performance, you can maybe ask some other pros to play against you for practice games. And I think that helped me a lot in FIFA 19.
It definitely helped. I mean, the youngest ever FUT Champions Cup winner. In your breakout season, you also got to the EWorld Cup as well. What do you think you learnt from this season? Because it wasn't the best EWorld Cup for you, and I'm sure you'd admit that as well. But surely you can take a lot away from what you've achieved this season and bring that into FIFA 20.
Yeah, I mean, like, let alone the experience I got from the EWorld Cup was, like, also pretty nice for me to play, like, in front of a huge crowd, which, like, I've never done before. Because like at the other events was like really in a close area, for example in Bucharest, and I think the experience will help me a lot in FIFA 20 because if I make it to the EWorld Cup again, I won't be as nervous as this year.
And you recently joined a new club with Wolfsburg, and you already have established pros that have been in the FIFA community forever when you're looking at Team Mox or Sauser. What does this mean going forward in FIFA 20?
I mean, we're going to have the Virtual Bundesliga again in FIFA 20 with like the teams all set up, and I think with me joining Wolfsburg, we have like a pretty good chance at competing against Werder Bremen, like because they won this year with Megabit and Mo, and I think that's going to help a lot because it's like also another competitive way in Germany, and I think I can also learn a lot from Tim Mox and Sauser because of like their experience because they have been in the scene for so long.
Well, DullenMIKE, thank you so much for your time and good luck in FIFA 20.
Thanks.
And now it is time to announce the winner of the Twitter poll for the Player of the Year. Can I get a drum roll, please? And it is MsDossary. That's right. The man from Saudi Arabia who lost in the EWorld Cup final but won it the year before, so it's a testament to his ability to be consistent in many, many years. High-quality player. But this was up to you guys, everybody at home. You picked MsDossary to be your Player of the Year. Do you guys agree with that choice?
I mean, I could argue for every player on that list as being Player of the Year. They've all had amazing seasons. He won by quite some margin on that Twitter poll as well, but almost so close to being a back-to-back champion. It would have gone down in the history books, but still an amazing season, and you can't really argue against it.
And at the end of the year, when Tex had a bit of a stock drop, I really feel that MsDossary, even though he was not able to beat MoAuba, had a stock increase because of how dominant he was on the Xbox side, beating player and competitor after competitor after competitor. Seems fair.
Okay, but Tex won
100,000 plus votes.
Tex won 7 tournaments. He had twice as many Global Series points than MsDossary. That's got to count for something when you think about the year overall and not just one section of it. No disrespect to MsDossary. Again, I agree. I think he's a fantastic player, but there still has to be some type of argument for Tex.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, any of those 4 players you could argue for, and I mean, I've been a big Tex fan throughout the entire season, and I still think he was the best FIFA 19 player, but has Dossary had a better season because he did further in the World Cup? Yes, I think you can argue that, but it doesn't make him the best FIFA 19 player, in my opinion. I think they're 2 different things that we're talking about.
That was a loaded question that Jimmy set us up with.
It was a little bit.
He's like, do you think that he deserves it? Do you think he could be? Yeah, sure. MsDossary had back-to-back very consistent years. I think a lot of people would trade places and have F2 Tex year, where he didn't maybe have the best FIFA EWorld Cup, but that consistency throughout the year, winning those events. Of course, a lot of bankroll as well that went with those events too. It's been a good year for him.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about MoAuba because he is the EWorld Cup champion. That should count for something. All the work that you're doing to get up to that point is for that tournament, and he won it. So I think he should be getting more respect for the Player of the Year.
Well, I mean, go ahead. I was gonna
arguably the best player in the world because he won the World Cup. That's usually how it works. Was he the best FIFA 19 player this season? Probably not, because he wasn't as consistent as the others, but he was the final winner.
But he is going to be the one that you see in the history books. His name's going to be there, not about how Tex was great for 7 tournaments. That wasn't the EWorld Cup.
And you can't take that away from him, and you also can't take away 250,000 reasons that he's also sitting there with the FIFA EWorld Cup to go with a car. I mean, he's got everything. He's on the up, and up. I'm sure he doesn't mind being, I think it was 14% in the poll. He'd be cool with that.
All right, everyone. So that concludes our Season of the Year awards. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know while we take this quick break.
they should've been caught up. Even Granny got hit with no antenna. And the cool kids peeped on the internet. Ain't no fighting the hype when it's evident. I mean, peace for your eyes. Ain't you mystified? At a minimum, fresher than your Listerine.
Oh, you missed it, huh?
How you missed the vine?
Oh, you missed the mastermind.
Amazing.
The one,
Yeah, you looking at the best. There you go, you're looking at.
number one. I gotta tell him, gotta tell him, gotta tell him.
Yeah, you looking at. Yo, no cap with that. Cause when it bleeds to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the EST. You got me. I got the hands on me or the intellect. And when I be on scene, all the eyes connect. So come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know the feast on me, man. I've been the best. I got the hands on me or the intellect. And when I be on scene, all the eyes connect. So come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know the feast on me, man. I've been the best. Amazing.
The one,
Yeah, you looking at the best. There you go, you're looking at.
number one. Gotta tell him, gotta tell him, gotta tell him.
Yeah, you looking at. Yo, no cap with that. Cause when it bleeds to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the EST. You got me. Got the hands on me or the intellect. And when I be on scene, all the eyes connect. So come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know the feast on me, man. I've been the best. I got the moves.
What is up, everyone, and welcome back. So I'm a little sad. Been a little sad, I think, a couple times throughout this show, but I'm not wearing my tux anymore. And I feel like I had my A game, and now I'm just kind of back to normal. No? Okay, all right.
I feel like I'm going to sneeze all the dust that came off that tux when you took it off.
Easy.
What's your normal? If you have an A game, your normal is
Like an A minus.
Oh, an A minus.
An A minus.
I was gonna give him a C plus.
Whoa, we have to talk off camera about that comment. Okay, now let's get into some of our predictions. Some things that we said on prior shows.
Okay.
And Mike, we got to start with Mike. Check this out.
So I'm looking at, and I don't know if I want to call him the unknown Frenchman. I'm going to say actually the overshadowed Frenchman. We're looking at Rafsu. Is he really going to be able to make some upsets? And the answer is yes.
Rafsu. Well done, my friend.
Proud moments here. I've had a lot of suspect predictions over the course of the year. And
Appreciate your honesty
I claim
on that.
those. I'll claim those. Had some great ones as well, some solid choices. But
So what did you see about his game that really lent yourself to making that prediction?
I believe in Rafsu being mentally more prepared than some of the other competitors and being able to handle larger moments. That he's on a higher tier than maybe his ranking suggested in terms of his mental stability. And I think that played a big part when he's on the bigger stages. And he's made runs in tournaments before because he's been able to keep his emotions under wrap or use them as an advantage. You see him reacting and you know, standing up a little bit. You don't want to see him standing over you, but it's really important to be able to manage those emotions properly.
Now, do you think we're going to see a shift in the mental side of the game? Because we now know that Nicolas is working with a sports psychologist to help him through some tough moments and adversity. Is that a trend that you think will continue?
I think so. I think when you've seen the benefits, not just in FIFA, but other esports as well, of working with those kind of people, it's going to help. And I think moving forward, you need it. We see how mentally taxing it can be playing some of these games, especially in 1v1 environments where you can only blame yourself. Very easy to get down on yourself. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens more often.
All right, Dan. Let's take a look at your prediction. Don't say anything. Check this out.
Okay, I'm going to go with someone who is very high up. I'm going to go with MoAuba. I think we're due a good MoAuba tournament. Whilst he's played very well this season, he hasn't achieved the heights that maybe we've expected him to. And a smile like that, imagine him lifting a trophy as well. It would be glorious.
Well played, Dan Gaskin. Unfortunately, you did that for the playoffs and not the EWorld Cup. You were close. You were just one event away. But you were onto something.
I was onto something.
I saw something in him.
I did say to him I was pretty annoyed that he didn't do that at the playoffs to make me look like a prediction god, but
he had a good run there too.
He did have a good run there. I think it's because throughout the season he has shown that ability of being able to get to the later stage of tournaments, but then he wasn't getting over that final hurdle. And I think we always knew he had the capabilities of winning a tournament. Did we think it was going to be the EWorld Cup? I mean, probably not, realistically. I mean, even though it was a bold prediction by me, I don't think I would have stood by that prediction before the EWorld Cup, and I don't think I did. That's why they had to use PS4 playoff footage. But still, incredible from MoAuba, and it's amazing to see him get a victory.
Well, Mike, one angle we haven't talked about is MoAuba's standing moving into FIFA 20. How much is he a favorite? Would you put him on top of the list, or is he still behind MsDossary and Nicolas and Tex?
It's really hard because you don't want to take somebody's shine away from them at all, but it just seems so difficult to go against someone like MsDossary and Nicolas, maybe even more so than Tex, because of the consistency they've had over 3 years now. And that's something you have to really build into, because in FIFA 18, Tex was, at the pro level, he was really solid. He was great. What we saw this year, he was special, one of a kind. We started talking about the season that he had put together in terms of qualifying for every single event, going to league events, going to LQEs and Foot Champs Cups, E Nations, you name it. He was at everything, other than maybe the E Champions League, and then obviously didn't have maybe the best final. But you wonder, can you continually replicate that? And that's where you have to question with MoAuba, because you know he's not going to change his gameplay style. So the question you ask, is he able to adapt? But will his gameplay adapt to FIFA 20?
We'll have to wait and see. But what we're not going to have to wait and see is my prediction, and it is amazing. Check this out. I am going with, you ready for this?
I gave a drum roll. I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going with the field. I'm not going with any of the favorites. Like, if I was a betting man, I'd be like, listen, I'm not going to go with the favorites. I think there's better money to be earned if I go with the field. So I'm going with somebody in that 28 is going to win.
Jimmy has everyone in the competition. If you're competing, then you can win via Jimmy, unless you don't via Jimmy.
I love everybody.
Why are you putting your hands up like that was actually a good prediction?
That's was a great prediction.
Turning up to a race and saying, I think one of the cars is going to win. Like,
That's not true, because I didn't pick the favorite cars.
Okay,
I didn't pick the fastest cars. I didn't pick the best cars historically throughout the season. I'm giving it up.
It's terrible.
I'm giving it up.
Can we leave? Do we have to sit next to
actually. I'll take this by myself. No. I thought it was a smart choice.
Here's the three favorites. Here's the three favorites. I'm going to take the rest of the field. I'll do everything else. And then it looks like I'm.
You guys went and did
I love everybody is what I heard in that.
I didn't go with the favorites. I thought that somebody outside of the
favorites.
Come
to my pickup game. Come to my pickup game. I love everybody. Let them know, Jim.
Listen, all I can say is prediction god status confirmed. I wish we had some background music for that. Anyway, let's move on to what's next. We're going to get into some topics that I think are worth discussing. And the first topic for me is the dominance or potential dominance of PS4. We had Xbox kind of running things for a while, but now with MoAuba winning the EWorld Cup, is it possible that PS4 is going to have a renaissance, as you were?
Yeah, the first PS4 world champion in, 3-4 years, I think we worked out, was the last time we saw it happen. And this year was also the first time we saw a PlayStation cross-console winner in a couple of years as well, at any tournament, not just World Cups, and that was, of course, Nicolas. So, yeah, I think the PlayStation players are starting to fight back. There were more PlayStation tournaments this season, and we did see a few players switch over to PlayStation for that exact reason. Whether we'll see more Xbox players now do that transitioning, who knows? But MoAuba is definitely putting himself in a great place, and he's cementing himself into history.
Mike, I want your 2 cents.
I'm just going to build off of what Dan said. I'm wondering, and I'm very curious, how many players are going to switch from Xbox to PlayStation? Because if you have access to different events, maybe you want those events. You want that access. Or if more players are shifting over, better practice for you potentially. Maybe you get more variety with your oppositions. It also could be more difficult to qualify. We'll see. But only time will really tell. It's still an individual sport. So the best guys on the PlayStation, then we look at PlayStation, we're like, oh, these are the best players. The best guys on the Xbox, then we say, okay, these are the best players, because that individual just towers over everyone. Like this year, because Tex was so dominant, and then if he wasn't winning, it pretty much was MsDossary, both guys on the Xbox. It's really those two individuals that had kind of carried the Xbox throne or the crown or the chair.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the next topic. Will there ever be another season like F2 Tex had? Because he was so dominant. He was crushing everybody. And only MsDossary maybe knocked him off a few times in the middle of the season. But is it possible? Even Tex, I mean, it's going to be hard to match it. 12,000 points is now the benchmark for what you need to have to match what he put together.
I'd say yes, it's doable. I think the fact that Tex was able to be this consistent throughout FIFA 19 really was amazing. And I think if FIFA 20 it has the structure and the flow that a lot of players want in the gameplay, there'll be more opportunity for that consistency from players. And Tex could do it again. He's going to be motivated to do it again, especially after the EWorld Cup loss. So I think, yes, we could see someone perform as well as he done. And maybe it's just going to be him again. Maybe he's going to do exactly what he did this year.
We were partaking in FIFA history with what Tex accomplished in terms of qualification, winning that many events. I don't think we're going to see another player qualify and win this many events throughout a season. However, I do think we'll see repeat winners and more repeat winners going forward in the FIFA EWorld Cup. So I do believe that that's going to happen, but I don't know if we're going to see a season this complete from one individual where he qualified. He qualified for so many events, he took off a couple.
Yeah, he qualified for every event.
Which is
and then he just went,
impressive.
yeah, I'm not going to go to this one. I don't need the points, which is bizarre.
So imagine if he had gone, how many more points he would have had.
Yep.
I mean, he's really working against himself now. He's playing against a ghost here coming into FIFA 20. Now let's talk about, well, rivalries. That's what I want to get into here. The MsDossary one in particular, because obviously that had a little juice in the middle of the season. But is there another one that's maybe emerging with MoAuba and Nicolas? Or any other rivalries that you might be seeing?
I mean, I think the fun thing for us is we can make any rivalry a rivalry. That is our job, to tell the stories.
Sure.
And if the players show that they've played a player a certain amount of times and they're struggling to beat them and then they finally overturn them, like we saw MoAuba with Nicolas, we make that a rivalry. If they don't want it to be a rivalry, they can tell us. But I'm going to be saying every time now, oh, MoAuba beat Nicolas. Nicolas is going to want to get revenge. And I think that's great. We need more rivalries. And we also need a couple of bad guys as well in the scene. I mean, just some players that you want to see lose. I think that's always good. It's a bit like wrestling. You need your heel players.
Yeah, you do. Now, do you think there's another step that this MsDossary-Tex rivalry can take, Mike? Now that we've planted the seed of maybe some discontent between the two?
Well, the more time and the more success stories that you have, of course, there's going to build those rivalries up. So I think it's just going to continually grow. As long as both players are competing, they're both at their A game, they're top level, they're going to meet. There's no other route. They have to go through each other. So, of course, it's going to happen. I'm actually waiting for a rivalry internally, where you see guys that represent the same club, the same organization, and they have to start playing against each other regularly. Even if you train with that guy or you appreciate him or you respect what he does, at some point here, you're like, I'm tired of losing to this guy. And you're gonna have like maybe some internal threshold there between guys that were friends and they shift on each other.
Here we go. We got, as you guys can see that graphic there, MsDossary actually got the better of Tex, 3-2 overall this season. We'll see if that shifts in FIFA 20. Now let's talk a little bit about team rivalries, right? Something that you talked about, but not necessarily in between teams, but also maybe Rogue versus FC Basel or Werder Bremen or whatever it may be. Do you think we're going to see that emerge a little bit more here in FIFA 20?
I think if we see the introduction of more tournaments like the E-Premier League and the Virtual Bundesliga, etc., we're going to see natural, real-life football histories and rivalries come into effect, like Arsenal versus Tottenham, or Man United versus Liverpool. And then, yes, you've got the esports ones as well, just maybe some of those top teams who are competing to be the best, like Rogue, like Werder Bremen. I'm all for rivalries, and I think one message I would have for players is encourage those rivalries, make it known, make yourself a superstar or a villain, whatever you want to be, because it's more fun for the viewers, more fun for you as well to be a character, and more fun for
Until
me
you lose.
to commentate.
When you lose, it's not as well. It depends on how well you can talk your way out of a loss.
It does depend.
And we see a lot of the guys go to social media to talk their way out of it. Team rivalries. You feeling it?
It's definitely going to happen, especially as larger clubs get involved in FIFA esports. We really haven't seen the introduction of Barcelona and Real Madrid. We haven't seen the introduction yet of Bayern Munich versus maybe a Dortmund. We haven't seen some of these rivalries you already said about City, maybe versus United, or Arsenal versus Tottenham. If that's happening on a regular basis, at some point you want to represent your club so strongly and with so much passion that you're going to start to have a distaste maybe for your opponent, and you might have to start playing them a lot more often. That's what it comes down to. The more often you play people when you're trading results, you're not looking forward to it. You no longer like that guy the same way. I'm really tired of seeing you, and that's where you start to build up that rivalry, and you can't help it. Social media, people are tweeting you, hey, we saw you lose here, we're not happy about this, or you didn't represent properly, and so forth and so on. Now you're feeling that pressure, and that competitive tension turns into great content.
I mean, you play in the EMLS, right? And you represent New York Red Bulls. Is there someone you play against a lot that you don't like?
I'm tired of playing against Chris. I don't like.
Chris, big rivalry.
I don't dislike Chris at all, but I know that game's gonna be happening. Sometimes we do 2v2s, and there's definitely a little bit of some added pressure. I would say when you're playing Chris, you want to have a good result, and I'm sure that he has the same pressure on his end that he wants to also represent properly.
We talked about a lot of different events and tournaments, and I think that's been my favorite part of FIFA 19 is the amount of tournaments that people can participate in and to qualify for. So when we're talking about a person who might want to jump into the scene in FIFA 20, how, let's say, readily available is that for them to make happen? We can see a DullenMIKE come out of nowhere. We can see an IX Tour come out of nowhere. Do you think we're going to see somebody new coming into this because they're going to take advantage of all these new format and new tournaments?
Absolutely. There's always going to be opportunity to, I mean, I know on the PlayStation they have like built-in cups and stuff that we saw throughout FIFA 19. The FIFA 20 season hasn't been announced yet, so we don't know really the implications of how you're actually going to qualify, but you play your Rivals games, you play your weekend league, you're probably going to have to get verified. Just get that done nice and early. Get verified, because then you don't have to worry about it. Verification was 27 wins this season. Maybe it's going to be the same next season. If you can get that verification, then you can start entering the tournaments. You can qualify. It doesn't matter if you're only 16 years old, 17 years old.
Anybody can do it.
Everyone has a chance.
Even Mike LaBelle.
Even Mike LaBelle.
So check this out. Check this out. I'm going to go on record. All right, I'm going to make a prediction. Okay, and we're gonna. There's a lot of hypotheticals here. So I'm going to say let's FIFA EWorld Cup. Let's say it's 16 and 16 again. So 32 players. I'm going to say that between 4 to 8 will be new players. So don't have competitive history. Yeah, please save this. 4 to 8 of the competitors, so that's still a decent range, will be new players to FIFA 20 that we have not seen at the competitive scene in any previous year.
Interesting. I like it. It's bold, but I like that.
That's
just
good.
Like your hair,
You got to be bold.
All right, now talk to me. Another new addition was the Global Series points, which I think is a massive addition to the scene. How important was that for the season?
I mean, it was a way of seeing who really were the front runners throughout FIFA 19. We could see that Tex was the best player in FIFA 19 and everyone was chasing after him because of those Global Series rankings. If I'm honest, what advantage did Tex get from having all those points when he got to the World Cup? He was able to get first seed, which meant he avoided second seed and third seed. That was his advantage, right? Was that enough for him to get to the point in the World Cup where he deserved, or did he just flop at that tournament? That would be my only question about the Global Series ranking and how it's going to change next season. Is there more of an advantage that someone who dominated the scene that much can have going into the World Cup? And of course, EA and FIFA will look at that.
Mike?
And I've been preaching for many years that I wanted a competitive calendar. It's so important for developing esports, for people to know when are the events, how do I qualify, what can I play in, give me the rules, give me the layout. And this year was the largest step that we've seen in the progression of FIFA esports because we had a lot of information readily available, and it's a growing. We're going to grow from here in terms of how they want to allocate points, how they're going to allocate maybe even money, or how many tournaments we're going to have, when they're going to happen. Was it too many online qualifiers? Is it better to put them during the week, during the weekend? And I'm just speaking again, my opinion hypothetically here, but I think it was a really big step for the culture, what's been happening with FIFA 19. And we now have a great way of being able to say, when somebody asks you, well, who's the best player in the world? You could say blank, and this is why he's been the best player in the world, because he's achieved all these points, and then he's qualified for the FIFA EWorld Cup, and we can make arguments for players on their behalf with a lot of logical and a lot of tournaments in terms of history and build-ups. People are like, okay, we get it. I'm with you.
I think the real beauty of the Global Series and FIFA in general and where we're moving is when you look at real football and we're presented with a Man United versus Man City, we can see how many times they've played against each other, who's had the most wins. We're going to get to that point in FIFA where we can say, well, in FIFA 19, MsDossary was able to beat Tex in this game, but now in FIFA 26, it's turned around and it's been 6 games since he's actually won. We've got the ability to record all those statistics now, and we're at that stage where FIFA is growing and growing, and I think that's a very exciting point to be with FIFA esports.
All right, everyone, that's it. We are closing the books on FIFA 19. So on behalf of Dan and Mike, we want to thank all of you for watching, everyone behind the scenes for making us look better than we deserve to be, all of the players, of course, and of course, we got to give a congrats again to MoAuba for being the FIFA EWorld Cup champion, a huge accomplishment. There he is. This has been a fantastic season. We love being a part of it, and we can't wait for next year. See you soon.